Just real quick, we do want to thank everybody. It means a lot to us that you all came out again. It's pretty special. This is our 5th year doing this. And to watch it grow, and to watch it flourish, and to watch a lot of local people come. We really did this for Delaware. That was our idea, was to bring something like this to Delaware for fun and for free, so that people could come experience whatever it is that you experience at a workshop like this. I'm sure it's different for wherever you're at in this road of yours, but I'm just really grateful that you guys are taking part with us again. It really means a lot to us. Just real quick, we want to thank all the committee, Brad, JD, John, the other John, and we want to thank the people who are going to do the food tomorrow, and we'll thank them again tomorrow. But I just want to give a round of applause for all the committees for their hard work. And we'll keep it short. And the only thing that we would ask, and obviously you can do whatever you want, but the only thing we would ask is that there's people from near and far. So again, we did this for Delaware because we wanted to bring this to Delaware, especially to Wilmington, because this is where a lot of our roots are. But a lot of our friends from, Baltimore and Jersey and Pennsylvania and New York, they all come down to kind of spend time with us, even if they're not up here. Throughout the event, get to know some folks that you don't know so well. That's how we connect and get closer. So with that, let's just start with a prayer. We'll just say a quick serenity prayer. God,
grant us the serenity to accept the things that cannot change, the courage to change the things that can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
God's will and ours be done. All right, and to get started, I've asked our friend Shay to come up and please read the preamble.
Okay, Shay Alcoholic? Yes, this is the AA Preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of people who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other so they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, and neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and to help other alcoholics achieve sobriety.
Thanks, Shay. All right, and I've asked our friend to come up and please read the 12 steps.
Hi, I'm Kevin, alcoholic. Glad to be here today. 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all the persons we have harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. And 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry the message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. Thank you for letting me read.
All right, and with that, we're going to introduce our first speaker, which is going to be Tina from Philadelphia. Is that good?
Okay. Hi, I'm Tina. I'm an alcoholic, and I'm super nervous. And I'm trying to think all day, what am I going to say? And I should say this, and I should say that, and I forget everything that ever happened in my life as soon as I got up here. The fact is, though, Alcoholics Anonymous completely changed my life. It completely changed the trajectory of my life. And I'm in debt, and I'm just here to pay my debt. Simple as if we were in a little church basement or at a detox. And the best I can do is try to portray that to you guys, that this program absolutely works. And I don't know, my sobriety date is September 21st, 2019. This isn't the longest that I've been sober. And it's funny because I was thinking about it today, like, I've been sober this long before, but without a program, without the 12 steps, without a fellowship around me. And my life did not look like it then, like it looks now. And I don't know, I feel like I grew up real similar to, a lot of my friends and people I know. I grew up in Philadelphia, real blue collar. I have a bunch of brothers. My parents are not alcoholics, but I like to joke around and say, but they are maniacs. And there was a lot of chaos in our family, a lot of chaos in our house. Police would be at our house a lot, and, doors would be broken, and, I don't know, my parents, they were just so crazy, they're just one of a kind. And my dad, when he was 16, his whole family, his parents, they all moved to California, and they told him, and you're not invited. And my mom, she had, really interesting life. My aunt wrote a book about their life, and it's published, and it's for sale. And they got together at 16 and were like, let's start a family. And so it's me, my dad, my mom. I have older brothers, younger brothers, and I used to think that, like, the chaos in my house was why I drank the way I did, and or things I went through in my life. I used to think that's why I drank. I used to, if you had to deal with what I had to deal with, you would drink like me too. And really, that's not the case. I just have no control once I start, and I love to drink. I love it. I love it so much that I will throw my entire life away and everyone that cares about me to drink. And I had my first drink probably in like 7th grade, and I don't remember thinking like, oh, I have arrived. I remember being afraid not to do what everybody else was doing because I was full of fear my entire life. I joke around, they used to call me a worrywart in like kindergarten. Like, what could I possibly be worrying about in kindergarten? You know what I mean? Like, who got the pink crayon? I had no idea. But like, I used to worry all the time. I was always worried, and I was always scared. And my older brother, it was funny. I just met someone that I actually know told me I didn't know they knew my brother, and my older brother, he was my best friend, and he used to say things to me like, he used to tell me, me and you can never fight because we have to stick together, because we used to have to deal with so much. And I used to think that when we would speak at an AA meeting, I would think that, like, I have to tell everybody, like, all the horrible things that ever happened, and I have to, spin it so you guys feel really sorry for me, and then you'll be so proud of me when I tell you I'm sober at the end, and I'm not going to drink over it. And but yeah, like, I could spin my life any way I wanted to spin it. My dad was in and out of jail when I was little. My mom, like, held it down as best she could, and sometimes there was boiling pots of hot water to take a bath, or sometimes we had to, we used to live in this apartment, and we used to, at night, we would get a bath, we would, get washed up, and we would pack up our pajamas and our blankets, and we would sleep in the empty apartment across the hallway, because my mom didn't have enough money to pay the rent. And so things like that always went on, and I would always feel ashamed, you know what I mean? And being an adult now, being sober, like, my parents just did the best that they could with what they had, you know what I mean? I was loved. I don't know, when I started to drink when I was like, my young teens, it was like, all that fear and all that shame of anything that was going on, like, didn't seem so bad anymore, you know what I mean? All my insecurities, like, you know what I mean, didn't seem so bad. And once I started to drink, that was it. That was a wrap. Like, there was no trying out for the basketball team, or like, I wasn't, asking for your vote for class president. Like, not at all. That's what we did. And I even, like, looking back in my life, like, I remember times where, like, no one else was drinking, but I was. You know what I mean? Like, if we were going to the basketball court, because whoever was playing, and, let's stop and get some courts on the way, And in Philadelphia, there's a corner bar everywhere. Like, across the street from the high school, there's a bar. And I used to buy cigarettes in my Catholic school uniform, and like, quarts of beer, and it was fine. But I used to, that's all I wanted to do was drink. And I couldn't put I don't think I could have identified it back then, but I always felt like something was wrong with me, like in some kind of way. Like, I always had this fear that like yous were going to find out. Find out what, I don't know, but like find out, like the real me. And I've had a problem with drinking since the day I started drinking. I was told to slow down at 15, 16, 17, 18. And so then when I got to be in my 20s, I made a career decision to become a bartender. And it was the dream job. And this is great. And I love I love the atmosphere. I loved a jukebox. I loved, getting in the fist. I loved, was there a fight? And I just loved the whole scene of it. And every dollar I made at that bar, I spent in the bar that I worked at. And I always tell this story, and I have some guilt with it. I was working at this bar, and it had it was a long bar, and the front door was that way, and I had to walk all the way around the front of the bar to get out the front door when I worked the day shift. And every time I would get done my day shift at 6 o'clock, I never made it out that front door, ever. I always wanted to, but I couldn't do it. And when I worked there, my one little brother, we had an apartment together at the time. He was 14, and he's a grown man, iron worker, tattoos, and I could just picture him standing at the doorway on his bike at the door of that bar, and he would be like, "You said you were coming home," and I would say to him, "I'll be home later. I'll be home later," and I would never do it, and I wanted to so bad in my heart, and I love my family. I love my brothers. And that's what makes me an alcoholic. It has nothing to do with mom and dad. It has nothing to do with boiling a pot of hot water to take a bath. It has nothing to do with my dad calling me from a payphone at jail. It's when I promised my little brother, I'm going to be home, and I can't do it. I just can't. I am incapable. That's what makes me an alcoholic. And I didn't know that I didn't know that other people didn't drink like me. I really didn't. I thought everybody was getting it in just like I was, but they really weren't. I remember being really confused in my 20s when I had friends who were graduating college and excelling in their life, and I remember being so confused, how are they doing this? I didn't understand. And and now during this time period where I'm this full-blown alcoholic, my oldest brother, Joe, his addiction really took off. And he went from having this gorgeous house in the suburbs to as low as you can go in Kensington Ave, you know what I mean? And it's and it's the truth what I'm about to say, but it's hard to say. It was real convenient for me at the time to have a brother who was just a little bit worse than I was. It was a convenience. And my family would say, you need to slow down, you need to do this, and I'd be like, yeah, and but I'd be driving my brother to detox, you know what I mean? Or I'd be letting him home playing in my apartment, so I was doing okay, and I used it to my advantage, I really did, and I don't know, I remember one day I woke up, and I just, so many things started to happen. All the consequences that we all go through in here, they all started to happen to me. I was always falling. I always had a black eye. I joke around. In Montgomery County in PA, you would need an identification card to visit someone in jail, and I have 2 Montgomery County prison IDs to visit my brother Joe, and I have a black eye in both IDs. I do. And he's like, "What happened?" You know what I mean? I'm like, "No, I just did it to myself. I was drunk." And it was the truth, because I was a full down drunk. And the car crashes and DUIs, I had a DUI in, I don't know what year it was. I was 21, 22, and I flipped my car on the highway, and I hit a tractor trailer. I completely walked away from the accident totally fine. And I was on my cell phone in the back of the ambulance, like, I think I'm in trouble. And it's disgusting. My friend, one of my good friends to this day, we've been friends since we were teenagers. She was an ICU nurse upstairs, and I'm calling her, screaming at her, "You need to come down here." And I'm smoking a cigarette in the ER bathroom with the state troopers outside, and I'm trying to tell her, somehow we need to draw your blood and I'm thinking this is like some great idea, like the state trooper's gonna be like, I'm like, no, I already have the blood draw, like, you know what I mean? And she's like, what? And I'm like, we gotta figure this out, And she's still my friend to this day, I swear. And she's a rider, and she's totally normal, not an alcoholic, but anyway, I remember I got this DUI, and I crashed my car, and the car looked like a tuna can, and I split my head open, and all that. And after that car crash, not once did I think about stopping to drink. I didn't think about it at all to stop drinking. I didn't drive again for 10 years. I didn't even attempt to. I'm like, I just can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's not me. I didn't drive for 10 years. And so when anyone needs a ride home from a meeting or anything, I have no problem giving anyone a ride, because I had to bum rides for a really long time, and I know what that feels like. It's awkward to ask someone for a ride. I don't mind giving anyone a ride, but I didn't drive again for 10 years. But I don't know. I woke up. I was in my apartment, and I woke up one day, and I just didn't want to do this anymore. I couldn't go on. I was so ashamed of myself. I was embarrassed of myself. I was embarrassed in front of my little brother. My younger brothers are a lot younger than me. They're 10 and 14 years younger than me. And I took them to school. I changed their diapers. You know what I mean? I lived with my dad most of the time. And I was supposed to take care of them. That was my job. And I couldn't do it anymore. And I was so afraid for a long time. I was so afraid to say out loud that I think I'm an alcoholic, because I felt like once I said it out loud, then I was going to have to be responsible to do something about it. And I didn't think I could. And I didn't think that I wanted to. And I woke up one day, and it was a Wednesday. I don't know why I remember it was a Wednesday, I didn't know how I got home once again, and feeling horrible. And I asked my dad if he could take me to the AA meeting, and he was familiar of doing these things because he used to take my brother all the time. And I remember I went to my first AA meeting, and I was so scared to death, and I sat in the back and right by the door, and I cried the entire time. And they had they actually had it was like a coffee bar. It was like an actual bar, it looked like, but coffee. And the older ladies behind the counter were just so sweet, and they were so kind to me. And I started going to that meeting. I went to that meeting for 30 days, right? And the whole time I was there, I was like, I hate this. This sucks. I don't want to be here at all. And people would say things like, everything will be fine. You just have to change everything. And I'd be like, who are you? And I had I wasn't willing. I wasn't open-minded. I wasn't any of those things. And I I couldn't meet the first requirement. I did not have a desire to stop drinking. I had a desire for consequences to stop. I had a desire for people to get off my back and leave me alone. I had a desire for that. And so I would like go to AA during the day, and then I'd be right at the bar at night, again, hanging with my friends, doing all the same kinds of things. And I remember feeling jealous about that buzz in their eyes. You know what I mean? I was jealous that they got to feel that way, because I didn't like the way I felt. My whole life I never liked the way I felt. I never liked myself. Like, you would think sometimes I would think to myself, like, am I a schizophrenic? Because my head would always be like, you're no good, you know what I mean? Like, you're not this, you're not that, you're not this. And I didn't know, and I might say this again a couple times when I talk, because I missed this message my first 10,000 AA meetings. I didn't know that this was a disease in my mind. I had no idea. I would stop drinking, or I would go to rehab or go to detox, and I would get this like false sense of safety, like, you know, and I made it into rehab, or I made it to the meeting, and I would be like, it's safe now, and it's not. But I went to AA for 30 days, and that was it. And I respect AA, so I'm not going to talk about other things. But I knew I couldn't drink. So my bright idea was, well, I never had a problem with those other things, those other forms of alcohol, so I'll just do that. That'll work out great. And for the next few years, I completely turned into a person that I was just unrecognizable to myself. I was a complete liar. I was a complete thief. I would be hospitalized. I would be sickly to look at as far as my weight. And I just was a person I don't even understand. And I started to go to treatment, right? And I would go to treatment, and I do awesome in rehab. I am a rule follower. I don't want any smoke from anybody. And I'm like president of the community, and people like, you know, I follow rules, and I think it's going to be fine. And you know, it's like a little vacation, right? Like, I don't have my phone, I don't have to, you know, deal with any of this, and I like going to rehab, and, you know, if it didn't take, you know, I guess that's the spa now. I don't know what I would do now, but I don't want to get high, but it was a little vacation. That's how I looked at it, and just to get everyone off my back, and I would make all these, like, attempts at sobriety. I would make, like, I went to a recovery house for a long time, and all I wanted to do was fix the outside. Like, all the things that I wanted was, I wanted a job, and, you know, I wanted to go tanning, and I wanted, like, to get my hair done, and I wanted things like that, and I had no idea that, I had to do work on the inside. Like, I thought AA was group therapy, you know what I mean? And I was going to, you know, share and complain about my day and complain about people in my life. And, you know, I can't believe they did me like that. And then at the end, I would say, but I'm not going to drink about it. And then it would be all good. And that's not the case. And like I said, I was in a recovery house for a while, and you know, I put together some time. I did. I was, over 5 years, I went without a drink or anything else. And I got a job. I worked at this law firm downtown, and time was just passing. And but I didn't know, in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous talks about this, like, I didn't know that I wasn't going to be able to survive the low spots that were coming. You know what I mean? And I used to think that, like, when people would speak at an AA meeting, and they would talk about, like, a life beyond their wildest dreams, I would think that they were just, like, rich, or, like, you know what I mean? I would think their life was perfect, and that was it. And they never experienced, like, pain or suffering, and that's not the case. Like, you know, life is always going to happen, and hard times are going to happen. So I get this job downtown, and I wear pencil skirts, and I wear cute clothes, and I'm working there for years, and I thought my life was fine. Everything looked fine on the outside, you know, and I had a bad breakup, and I wasn't equipped. You know what I mean? I wasn't equipped, and it was a long-term relationship, and then it ended, and I took that as every negative thought that I ever thought about myself must be true. You know what I mean? You're not good enough. No one, like I'm a real extreme, no one will ever love you. You know what I mean? You'll always be by yourself. You'll never be married. You're never going to have children. And I'm not married or have children right now, and I'm okay with it. I'm in a great relationship. He's over there. Hi. Hey, babe. Just saying. But, you know, it's one thing or the other, and it's, you know, I've never been okay. It's always up and down, and I moved back home to my dad's house, which it was kind of crazy at my dad's house at the time, and my dad had gotten sick. He had needed a bypass surgery, and my one brother moved away. My other brother was away at college. There's one normal one. We have a normal one in our family, and the baby, Bill, my brother Bill, and he's 29, and he's the normal one. And but my one little brother was deep in addiction and living in the house, and my older brother was, God knows where he was, because he wasn't around a lot in his addiction in the end. And I'm like living in my dad's house, and I'm scared to death that my dad is sick. And my brother Nick, the kid on the bike, he's a full-blown alcoholic, and I just was in such self-pity. I didn't know that. Like when I would come to AA and he would say, we're selfish and self-centered, we're selfish and self-centered, I would think, no, I'm not. I really would, because I would give you the shirt off my back, or I would help anybody, and in any kind of way. I'm a little people pleaser-y in that way, but I was full of nothing but self-pity my entire life, and self-pity is self-centered as it can be. People say, oh, I mean, I'm also going to repeat like some really great things that other people have said, so I should run credits at the end of this and show, you know, I got this from everybody, you know, but our one friend says it all the time, like, you know, I didn't think much of myself, but I'm all I ever thought about it, and I relate to that so hard. I never thought much of myself, but it's all I thought about, and my dad was sick, and my little brother was like acting like a maniac in the house, and we were like fist fighting on the regular, and he's like spitting on me, and I'm trying to visit my dad in the hospital, and I remember the day I went to the hospital to see my dad, and I was scared. His surgery, it went well, but they had to keep him under anesthesia for 5 days, and it was crazy. And I go to the hospital to see my dad, and here comes my little brother, and he's walking out, and I'm walking in, and he walked right by me like he didn't even know me, right? And it broke my heart. It really hurt my feelings. And I don't fight with my brothers like that. And I had no choice but to go out and get a drink after that. I had no choice. And I was locked and loaded that whole time, and I didn't understand that. I didn't even know that I was, you know, and I just couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle that feeling of loneliness. I couldn't handle that feeling of fear. I couldn't handle it, and I went to go get a drink, and I didn't think I know the big book, like I'm not a big book debater. I'm not at all, but I know it talks about in the book, like, you know, that obsession to drink like a normal person, and think it was going to be different. I didn't think when I drank again that it was going to be okay. I didn't think that. I thought, if this is sober, this fucking sucks. and I hate it. I'll take my chances. And I drank, and I always joke and I say, you know, I drank, and the AA police didn't come out and lock me up because I had a drink. And I remember thinking like, that was all right, you know what I mean? Because nothing happened. I just drank. I didn't crash the car. I didn't get in a fight. I didn't fall down. I didn't, you know, I made it out alive, right? So it's okay. And I don't think normal people think that when they have a drink. I made it out alive. You know what I mean? But that's what I thought. And I started to drink again, and I started to drink again, and I don't get away with it for very long. I don't pretend to be a casual drinker for very long, and I drink when I like. I just drink the whole time, and it was crazy. I was working at this law firm, and there was a liquor store. It was funny. There was a liquor store across the street, and I kept getting up from my desk and going across the street to the liquor store, and I would get like little bottles up and down, up and down. I mean, I wonder where they thought I was going. And you're on camera. I have to badge in every time. Like, and the one day I went over and the liquor store had closed down, and I was like, what the, you know, like it must be God. And I'm like, I'm really going to get sober now. And I would go through this cycle of like, I'm going to drink. I would drink, and then I would feel all that guilt, shame, and remorse. And then I would swear to God I wasn't going to do it again. And then a day would go by, and I would feel better. And you know what, I'm going to go do it again. And that's alcoholic torture to me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think any time I ever drank and got high, I don't think I ever sat there and thought, I'm really scared I'm going to die. Like, I don't even think I thought that. I just thought, I'm scared to live like this. I can't keep living over and over. It's the same. It's, you know, it's Groundhog Day every day. You know what I mean? And I can't stop drinking, and I can't stay sober. And what do you do then, right? What do you do? And so the last day that I drank, I got up and I went to work, and I thought I was getting away with it too, because I remember I saw my dad that morning, and he's like, my poor dad, he's like, you were looking pretty wobbly last night. I was like, oh, I'm sick, I'm tired. So I got up and I went to work that day, and I had alcohol in a water bottle, and because I need it, right? And I can't work without it. And I get up and I go to work, and it's a sunny day in September, and I guess I left work at some point to go get more, and I don't remember. But I worked downtown Philadelphia, and I woke up and I was sleeping on Market Street with all the homeless guys lined up against the convention center right there at Market. And I'm like looking around, and I'm like, I can't believe this is my life. Like, look at me, you know? And I'm in like business clothes, and I have like a car that was like legally registered to me with insurance. Like, I have things that I think that would have made me okay. You know what I mean? Like, I was so far away from AA. I wasn't involved in any possible way. And like my whole like career of trying to be sober, from going from drinking to trying to be sober, I look back at it now and I recognize that I was around AA. I would pop in once in a while, but I was never all in, you know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest difference. Like when I talk about, like, I've had over 5 years before, but I wasn't all in, not at all. And so I wake up and I'm sleeping on Market Street and I'm crying, and I'll just say this real fast because like people think it's funny. I become best friends with this homeless guy, Charlie, in a wheelchair, and he had no legs, and I'm telling him I'm an alcoholic and I need to go to rehab, and he's now the closest person to me in the world. We're best friends, and we go to the Hard Rock Cafe together to drink more. I wheeled him in. And there was no seats at the bar. It's a, sunny Friday downtown. I tell everyone to move. He's a veteran. Get out of our way. And we immediately get 2 seats at the bar, and he's paying for me, right? I know. And whatever. But anyway, I took the. By this time, I'm missing. My dad is. No one knows where I am. My job calls my family. The block was hot, let's just put it that way. And my dad's like posting pictures of me all over Facebook and like the neighborhood pages, like, my poor dad. And anyway, I take the train home. I go to get on the train home, and I pass out, and they kick me off the train at the last stop, and I don't know where I am. And I stood at the end of the train platform, and all I wanted to do was jump. That's all I wanted to do. And I feel like God came into my life at that moment, because I just thought to myself, this is always going to be my life. I'm never going to get better. I'll always be this drunk girl, and that disappoints everyone. I hate myself. And I made a deal. I made a little deal, and I called an Uber to come get me, and I'm like, whatever comes first is what I'm going to do. I'm either getting in an Uber and going to rehab, or if the next train comes, I'm just going to jump in front of it. And then this will all be over, and I don't have to do this anymore. And Uber showed up, obviously, and I went to treatment again. And like, I was so proud in such a disgusting way that I didn't drink for all those years. I had like this pride about it, like I had accomplished anything, and I didn't accomplish anything. I was out of my mind, but I wasn't drinking. And I was full of selfishness, but I wasn't drinking. And I didn't care about anybody but myself, but I wasn't drinking. And so I go to treatment, and I just didn't care anymore. I just didn't care. I didn't care about my job. I didn't care about being embarrassed of coming back, because I was trying to get sober during this time, and I would go to meetings, and I would, have tears in my eyes. I'd get a white chip, and these wonderful ladies would come up to me after the meeting and be like, do you think you need to go to rehab? And I'd be like, no. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think? I don't need to go to rehab. And because any experience I had prior to coming back to Alcoholics Anonymous, September 2019, meant nothing. It meant nothing. I had no experience before. And people would say things like, well, you know what you need to do. And I'd be like, no, I don't. Like, I really don't. But I went to treatment again, and I went to a recovery house in Philadelphia in the hood, and thank God that I did, and I was scared to death. And I went to this house, and they were all about the solution of Alcoholics Anonymous and the Big Book. And I met some awesome people. And like my original house manager is over there, and she's my best friend. And it's just amazing to be able to walk this journey with people. And so I get into this house, and they're all about the Big Book and getting through the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, I had all this experience where I would be near AA, and I would put together, time, and guess what I forgot to do? The steps. I never went through my steps, and I thought I would be fine. Like, the delusion, for me, the delusion is not that I think I can drink again and I'll be normal. Delusion is I think I can come in Alcoholics Anonymous, not do this work, and be okay. That's my delusion. And I get in this house, and I had my sponsor. She's been riding out with me for like 11 years now, so God bless her. And I had this sponsor, and I just trusted her in a way that I never trusted her before. You know what I mean? I believed her when she said that there was hope in Alcoholics Anonymous, and things like I didn't have to feel this way again. And I made a commitment with her. We would go to every single Sunday. I would go to her house. We would open up the Big Book of AA, of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I would do my steps with her, and we would go to our home group, and we did that every single Sunday. And I showed up, and I was actually participating in it, and I noticed that things started to change. Like people would be like, "Oh, how you doing?" And I'd be like, "I don't know." Like I didn't think I was going to stay sober this time. I was afraid, and I was afraid not to do the work this time, and because I didn't want my life to continue as it was, and so we started to go through this work, and it's funny because all these years I didn't even know what an alcoholic was. You know what I mean? I just thought I was a bad mood. I thought I had bad luck. I thought, you know, and once I started, I cannot stop, and I cannot stay stopped by myself. And my sponsor taught me how to build a relationship with God. And you know, I was born, raised Catholic. My mom actually worked at the convent and the rectory till the day she died. She was a holy roller. And, you know, I feel bad. My dad paid all this money in Catholic school tuition, and I have a more relationship with God with my dollar in a basket at an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting than all them years of Catholic school. And so I started to go these steps, and I learned in the first step that I'm hopeless. There's no hope in the first step. I will always drink again. Even today, like if I stop doing all this stuff, I'll drink again. 100% fact. I know I will. And I started to trust God in a way, and build my own relationship with God. And I would pray in the morning, and I would ask God, you know, turn my life over. And I was so scared living in the recovery house. Like I used to literally go to bed at night, and it was COVID, and all the meetings are canceled. I'm like, great. I used to go to bed, and I used to be like, God, I need to feel your arms around me, like I feel this blanket on me. You know what I mean? And I knew that I started to stay sober, and I was surprised, and like, you know, time started to accumulate, and my sponsor taught me how to like turn my will over, and I didn't know what that meant. Like, how am I going to turn my will over? And she's just like, use your hand, turn it over, use your hands. I'm like, what does that mean? And the way I look at it today is like, you know, to come to believe, like everybody in this room has already come to believe in something, or we want to be here. You know what I mean? We already believe in something right now. And when I turn my will over to God, I just look at it like this, and I don't know if this is just how my brain works. Like, there's just a better guy for the job. You know what I mean? So when I'm full of fear, or when, you know, God, I need you to do the worrying. You know what I mean? Because I'm not equipped. I'm just not. And then I went through my fourth and my fifth step with my sponsor, and everyone's like so scared of the fourth, but I wasn't afraid of it. I was excited about it personally. I was ready. I called it my victim impact statement, and I was going to show her. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I didn't have a part, and you know, we don't have a part in everything that happens to us. We really don't. Most of it, yes, clearly, we are the problem. But anything that ever happened that wasn't even my own fault, man, I carried that. I wore it like a badge of honor. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it gave me the green light to drink and do whatever I want and to trash everyone around me. We started to go through my steps, and I saw where I was selfish, and I saw where I had caused harm to others, because I didn't think that I did. What I like to do is I like to make my part real small and your part real big, because it makes me feel better. And things started to really change. When I started to see that things changed for me, is when I started to make amends. I had never made amends in my life. Oh, I'm sorry. And I started to make amends, and that was the freedom for me, man. That's where things started to really change, and it's like 1,000 pounds coming off your back, and I made amends. I remember making amends to my dad, and him and my mom. They were like, they never even got married, but I don't know. They had rings, but they never got married. I don't know. It's what you do, I guess. After a certain my mom had passed away at this point, and she had passed away. I was sober, but I wasn't, whatever. And my mom had passed away in 2014. She just had a brain aneurysm burst at the grocery store. And I had all this resentment towards my dad because I felt like, them two always battling, that really messed things up for our family. And I remember I go to big amends to my dad, and I'm talking to him, and I'm telling him, I was wrong, and all the things I was wrong, and he's getting choked up. My dad's a tough guy. My dad's name's Smokey, and he's a tough dude, and he's crying, and he says to me, we start talking about my mom, and he said, I really wish I could do for her what you're doing with me right now. And he said, I treated her horrible. And he said, I wish I treated her better, and I wish I could do for her what you're doing with me right now. And I was just so blown away from that, because all I wanted was, I never thought my dad doesn't really apologize, like, at all, to be honest. But that's all right. And I just couldn't believe that he had said that, and it's like it gave him a peace of mind in that moment. And I saw that, like, how my sobriety can affect others in like a ripple effect. Like, I know how much of a tornado I was when I drank, and I had to make amends to my mom's grave, which is like, I don't even know how that's supposed to work. And it was Easter Sunday. It was an Easter Sunday, and I had my iced coffee and my cigarettes, and I went over to the cemetery to make amends to my mom, and I'm crying, and my grandma's there too, and I was talking to her too, and just telling her sorry for how I treated her, and all the things that I did. And I'm standing there, I'm sitting there, and I have my head is on my knees in this graveyard, and all of a sudden I hear, "Are you okay?" And I turn around. If anyone told me this story, I would tell them they're such a liar. I would like zone out. But this is what happened, and I hear, "Are you okay?" And I look up, and there's this old guy standing there in a suit, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all right." And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I got up and I walked over to him, and I said, I'm burying a coin, and I'm reading a letter." And he said, "What kind of coin?" And I said, and I don't even tell people that I'm in AA. I'm, not, you know what I mean. And I said, I'm in AA. I was burying my coin, talking to my mom, and I swear to God, this guy says to me, he's like in his 80s. He says, "I'm 54 years sober in Alcoholics Anonymous," and then he says to me, I don't even believe it. He said it. He said, "I'm so proud of you." He goes, "I hope you come back every year and talk to your mom and give her your coin, and I don't keep your head down, and don't be ashamed of yourself." And he starts saying to me all these things that I wish my mom could say to me. And you couldn't tell me there wasn't a God in that moment. Like, you couldn't tell me that there wasn't. And because I'm so blind to all that when I'm drinking. You know what I mean? I just am. I can't see any of it. And I don't know. Things just started to change, and I felt like all that guilt and shame just started to be lifted away from me, and it's crazy how they say, like, do the work before you need it. I remember being in my recovery house, and my phone rang at I don't know, 5 in the morning, and it was my dad, and he told me, "I'm coming to get you. We gotta go." And we had to go see my brother, Joe, my older brother, and my brother Joe died of this disease, and we went to the hospital, and I watched him take his last breath, and he was my best friend in the whole world, and he's the only one I felt that, even when he was messed messed up, you know what I mean? Like, I always felt better when my brother was around, and I watched him take his last breath, and I didn't think about drinking, and I didn't think about getting high, and that's a true miracle. Like, I used to say, you know, I would be a real smart ass, and people would be like, oh, how are you doing? And I would say things like, I'm waiting for the miracle to happen. And, you know what I mean? And, like, it's already happened. It's already happened. And the fact that, like, sorry, I don't know why they asked me. Come on into this. But, the miracle already happened and I didn't even know it, you know what I mean? Because we get better when we do this work. And I didn't understand, like, how that could happen by, you know, but it's all, it's like Karate Kid, like Mr. Miyagi, like, you know, wax on, wax off. Why? It doesn't make any sense. And when you do it, you get better and then you understand, you know what I mean? Like, I surrender and I win, you know what I mean? And I help others and I get help, you know, and it's all backwards, but it works. And the fact that I didn't want to drink, or when my brother died, it was the worst thing that ever happened. My brother was a great guy. And I didn't want to drink, and I remember my dad saying to me, after my brother had died, he said, thank God for those people, Tina. That's you guys. He said, because I know you'd be killing yourself too right now, and he's 100% right. And sometimes the miracle is not making it worse, and I didn't make it worse when my brother died. I didn't make it about me, and I didn't make it worse, and I was able to be there for my dad and my other brothers. And I hate speaking, especially of big things like this, but when I said in the beginning I'm in debt to this program, I'm in debt. And my life today is, like when they say a life beyond your wildest dreams, my life is way behind my wildest dreams. My life was really hard, and it was dark, and it was sad, and it's not today. And our book talks about only a spiritual experience, and I'd be like, whoa, what's that? And like, how do you do that? And it's not as hard as we make it out to be. It's not. It's staying close with God and helping others through service, and we get better. And I don't know. I wake up every single day and I get quiet, and I ask me to just go with whatever God gives me today and act as if how He wanted me to. I am a little selfish. I do put in a couple special intentions. I ask God, not like greedy though, you know what I mean? Like, I ask, but you know, as long as it benefits others, I ask God to protect my family every day, and I send text messages to my friends in AA every morning, and I read every morning, and I take care of my dogs. And that's how I start my day every day. And I go to work, and I actually work. I do a good. I know, right? I do. And I deserve my paycheck when they pay me. You know what I mean? And I do the best job that I can. And I go to a lot of meetings. I still go to a lot of meetings, man. Like, if I only went to meetings, I wouldn't stay sober, you know what I mean? But I do go to a lot of meetings. In the last 5 years, I've made a couple meetings a week, every single week, and it's just a fact. I met my sponsor at a meeting. I meet women to help at meetings. I hear the message of Alcoholics Anonymous at meetings, and I raise my hand when they say, "Is anyone available willing to sponsor?" And I raise my hand because I'm available, and it's funny because, like, when I held my sponsor's hand to do the third step period, you know, it's like real goofy, it's like real awkward. That's how I felt when I was like, all right, you know. And but when I held another woman's hand for the first time and I said the third step period, I cried. because I knew what could happen. I knew what could happen when you put yourself all the way into this program. Just lives change. My life changed. And I go to work, I take care of my dogs, I'm in a healthy relationship with a sober man. There's no like domestic disputes or like cops. Like, we're pretty nice to each other. The worst fight we ever had in the last 4 years was over chocolate chip mini muffins. And I told him to get out until he'll come back. And I'm being dead serious. Like I said, it was a bad fight, and it was before coffee and prayer. And I really was. It really had. This is a true story. But like, could be a lot worse, right? Anyway, I go to a lot of meetings. I'm willing to help other women. I take service commitments when I'm asked, even though I get nervous and uncomfortable. Like I don't normally dress like this at all. I bought this for today, and I do the work, and I'm willing to do the work. And I know if I don't continue to do this work, I will drink again. I know that, and my pain isn't as bad as it was on the first day when I came in the Alcoholics Anonymous, but my willingness is still here, you know what I mean? And I pray to God. I pray to God every morning that I never lie to myself again, that I don't need you, and I don't need this. I don't need a God in my life, that I don't need to help another person, that I don't need Alcoholics Anonymous. And I know it's all suggestion, you know, yeah, right. But I implore you, you know what I mean? I implore you to go through with this work because your life can change. And because I know that mine did. And honest to God, like, I mean, I know we're all like drug addicts and alcoholics. This feels better. Like, I wouldn't lie. This feels better, you know? And all I ever wanted to feel was okay and better my whole life. And this feels better. And thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Tina. We'll be back in 15 minutes.